11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. If that's the case, it's LinkedIn Live, Hour of Empower. Today's keyword is persistence. These keywords are just flying off the shelf. Everybody's jumping in with their thoughts about it, because when you change your thoughts about anything, you can change your thoughts about things just like anything, right? Expand definitions. And with persistency, it takes a lot of other qualities that one can benefit from. So chat's open. We rely and depend on you to give us some direction. We want to focus on what's most important with you right now. Maybe we can help you.
Yeah.
And definitely can help us. Oh, look at who's here. Baz Porter. I was just talking about Baz.
That's right.
To Clint, and telling, or not telling, but sharing with them what a wonderful story Baz has, and how incredible he has demonstrated what persistence can do. So thanks for being here, Baz. Look forward to having you back soon. And with that, I want to introduce Clint Hatton with us today. You know Clint from my show, from Kelly's show, The Awesome Journey, which I would definitely pay some attention to. And Clint's back to kind of share his viewpoint on persistence. And what this all kind of means to him is not only a co-host, but part of the audience also while we're doing this. So, Clint.
Good morning, Don. How are you? It's 10 o'clock here, so I'm going to say good morning. You're creeping up on the afternoon. No, I'm excited to be with you today, and I think the word today, I'm super excited not only to get your input on this, and I got a couple of things to say, but I really want to hear what the audience has to say today and what it means to them. Because as you know, we throw words out there and they may have specific definitions, but the application or even the struggles of what that word means in their life can vary quite a bit, right? So we want to really help you guys today and hear from you. So please do join in on that chat.
Well, that's great, Clint. And, when we were talking a little bit earlier, we're really focused on how much value can we provide to how many people that can spread to more people, because the world needs more love. It needs more attention to each other. And, everything that's happening that's cool these days is decentralized. It's detaching from a central hub institution, expecting something to happen in that distance and that time and that expense, when you have people you can talk to right now in the moment. And I think what should happen with persistence is let your curiosity elevate your top of mind awareness. And what that means is if you can just focus on a target and be persistent, keep coming back to it. The definition of a big shot is a little shot to keep shooting, and with that said, let me just introduce the audience, because they are so important. We just said hello to Baz. Kinga's here, lovely lady. You should reach out, get to know her. Dennis has been here for at least 6-7 months, almost every day. Dennis is in Colorado, great guy, loves to rhyme. Here we got Cindy, who's wishing everybody a good morning. Baz is gratified that we acknowledged him. Great guy. Laxman's here. Ashif, who's been a regular almost every day. Great to see you. Andrea, who does Tuesdays. Good morning. Shanir. They just come fast and furious. Hello. Dennis. Throwing words out is so much better than throwing. Okay, I got it. And Gactor. So, and then Olu's here. Olu's the best. Got to know Olu. Reach out. If you're not connected, you're not helping yourself. Hey, family, I'm here. How are you all doing? Blessed, I'm sure. Truly happy to be here with you all again. I'm happy indeed. Olu's out in Nigeria, really making an effort. Here we got Paul, who says, hey, Don, grateful to be here to support and learn today. My apologies for missing. No problem. This just keeps going. And, everybody, all they should do is what they feel comfortable and happy to do, but don't stop doing it. You can slow it down, you can pause it, but don't lose your momentum. Lillian's here. Lillian was great on the show. Oh, your daughter graduates. Be back on Monday.
Right.
Congratulations, Lillian. You have so much to be proud of, to be able to raise your children by yourself and have them all now in university. That's an amazing accomplishment. So that I tip my hat off to you. Olu and Dean is here. Dean is actually coming here tomorrow for the first time, so you got to keep your antenna open. Dean's got a great story along with a great guy. So we caught up Clint. So with all this wonderful interaction, what was your event in your life that you needed? Well, we just talked about a speaking engagement. Why don't you talk about that and relating it to persistence?
Sure, absolutely. And Don, you may remember this. We've only done this together once, but I love words. So I'm going to give a definition here. And of course, persistence is to persist, right? So persist is to go on resolutely or stubbornly in spite of opposition, importunity, or warning. I love that definition. I love it. Yeah. So as we were talking prior to getting started here today, I was telling you, and it's funny because I wasn't really thinking about our word for today when we first started, but I started a conversation with someone who is a friend of mine that works for a very large international company. And going back to I want to say October of last year, we've begun this discussion of having me come in and speak to one of their groups virtually, which would be a group that's basically all over the globe. And so, obviously as a transformational coach and speaker, super excited about that. So we started talking about it, and then a month or two went by and we were still just kind of talking about it. And then another month or two went by and we were still just kind of talking about it, and I think for both of us, because she had, her hierarchy that she had to go through and questions that she had to answer for her bosses. And of course, for me, I had to just kind of be willing to keep having this ongoing long conversation. And what ultimately happened is today we officially are landing on the actual date. And so, I think that's just one example of perseverance, because truth is she could have given up quite some time ago when it kept getting bumped back and bumped back and bumped back for a variety of reasons. She could have just quit and said, you know what? I thought this was a great idea, but it's just too much. I'm just tired of even having the conversation. Right. And then I could have done the same thing. I could have said, we've been talking now for a long time. Maybe this just isn't going to work. Maybe I'm just not the person they're looking for. But that's not what we chose to do. We chose to just continue to think about what could be possible, think about what a word blessing or how much value this talk we're going to have could add to this particular group. And Don, I think as I think about it, that's really the driving force behind the perseverance in this situation, is we just kept going because we thought of the possibility of what we could do to really help some people. And so now ultimately we're going to get that opportunity, and I'm super excited about it.
Well, that is superb. And, while you were talking, I was thinking about really how people can build a flame or a fire, and they just keep it going until they need or have what they want, but they don't let the flame go out. And if, so many people are waiting for something to happen instead of creating something to happen. And some things, and it's much easier looking back than looking forward. In my life, some things took 3, 4, 5 years to circle around, and I had no idea when I put it out there if it was a day or was never going to happen. But, you have to give everything its gestation time. And the other thing is if you're doing all kinds of things, no one thing is all or nothing, and sometimes you're better off coming back to something after you've experienced something else or thought about it enough. But I think the key now and the power now is with a vehicle like LinkedIn Live and programs like this, you can get so much more feedback in such a short period of time. In other words, if you were to talk to 20 people you thought you admired about anything that you needed an answer to, that might take you a lifetime to find those 20 people.
Yeah.
But if you can already find in your own family And, I think that the beauty is not only aggregating like-minded people, but getting away from the mob, getting away from the salesy, pushy, scammy stuff. It just makes you not want to, it's not a quality experience. Let's just say you have to pick through things to get to what you want, where if you can go to a marketplace where everybody says, hey, I need, you need, but together we can fill each other's needs and do it with some entertainment, some fun. And that's the thing, is happiness has got to be something people are persistent to. Your pursuit of happiness is why you persist, why you go through things that other people don't. They say the definition of successful people is they do what other people aren't willing or can't do.
Right.
That's the only difference. So anyways, with that, let's go through some of these comments. Cindy's here. Same to you. My interview went well. Cindy was looking for a job. She's been out of work for a few months. So if you know something or anybody, help Cindy out. That would be appreciated. All for one for all. Why not?
That's right.
If we got the power, let's share it. Let's use it. Thanks, everyone. You bet, Lillian. Paul's here. Oh, congratulations, Lillian. And you should. That's a lot of effort. That's a lot of expense to get a degree. And that shows perseverance on your part for supporting, on your daughter's part for persevering. Action speaks so much louder than words, but words speak so much louder than silence. Welcome, Dean. Paul says, I love the word persist. Reminds me of scroll 3. I will persist until I succeed. Well, some truths have been around forever. We talk about technology and AI, but I think if you can bring in some universal truths that have already always worked, like Agmandino's book, The Greatest Salesman, you become more than you are because you bring more people with you and for you. Kelly's here, so Kelly must be in some form of internet connection.
That's right.
Good morning, all. Love the hat choice, Clint. Grateful you coming. Oh, I'm so grateful that actually Kelly was able to provide the spot for Clint today. And that shows a generous spirit. So thank you so much, Kelly. Kelly actually is now going to be back Saturday and Sunday this week. So that's going to be great. And whoever can help as many people should be here as often as possible. And that should be the qualification, and it was great for Clint to come up with a definition, have a little preparation, a little showtime, because this audience is just very special. And that's why it allows me to do this so often. Happy Thursday. Thanks for being here. Kim's just great. Kim was on the show. It's always okay. A lot of salutations. What a blessing. That alone is better than knowledge one can disperse, is the actual feeling that you share. Agree, build a bright flame and avoid the blame. It's just keep chugging. It's so true. That's how I keep ending up back here. No more sales or performative people. They just don't know any better. They're spaghetti against the wall. They're numbers crunching, and someone eventually gives them enough business out of 900 million people to make them want to keep doing it. Together, mastermind, another success principle. The topic today reminds me of my 12-hour walk. That last hour was the toughest hour of my life, yet the entire experience reminded me that impossible is impossible.
Come on, Paul.
Tough makes you strong. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger is what someone once said. And you don't know what something is until you actually are deeply in it, in such a way you never anticipated. But that's where your sensations, that's where your questions start coming in rapid fire. Ashif says persistence builds resilience. It's indeed a mindset. No one's looking for less, but it's going to happen. It's just a fact. So how do you deal with it? Hey, Lillian. Okay, give your daughter my warmest. My daughter just got admitted into university this year. She's studying microbiology, wanted medicine, and she made it in 21, but okay. You know, and that's key. Persistency is community, staying together long enough to achieve things. It's not just waiting in line and finding more time to do. Happy are those who dream and are willing to pay the price to make them come true. You know, you're going to spend your time somewhere. Where's it going to end up? That's the key. If you're not doing this, you're doing that. What does Cindy do? Cindy, I believe, is in. You better ask Cindy. Hello, Christy here. Christy is just great. Came back from her unbelievable trip. We'll see her tomorrow with Dean. Thanks, Christy, for all you do. Minerva's here. She's a regular. Keep persisting. Your window is opening. Look out for it. Give thanks. Hello, everyone. Great. Cindy, Bezport Real Estate Administration. I'm open to new fields. Well, great. You know, now people are getting to know each other. Why not? If you got a hidden secret, share it. This is not the witness protection plan. Connected with Tanya Bugby. That's a great person who might be able to help you. And Tanya has her own show too. Okay. Okay, Boz says, message me. I might know someone. And Boz is a good guy to know. So if you don't know Boz, get to know him. Hi, Kelly. Hoping to have our chat when you're able. You know, and use the outside of this to really get into the inside of stuff. Too many people come here and they shotgun and it maybe falls on 1 or 2 ears, but it doesn't on the rest. When you should be being active listening, getting connected to these people on the comment bar, getting to know them. And when you see them, you'll understand them better. Why not get context with everybody? Leslie's going to be coming in on Saturdays. Just very impressed. Leslie was on the show and was just incredible. Paul, awesome. Okay, well, Cindy, tell us if you get a job before the show's over.
That's right.
Sped against well, you continue to outdo yourself daily with expressions and proverbs. You know, people like pictures. People like, you know, comparisons. It's easier on the mind not to have to think too hard, but just to be able to visualize. Sure, all the graduates that time of year. I mean, it's, you know, kids staying in school or people going back to school. You're never too old to learn. And, you know, someone told me is when people graduate from schools, they call it commencement. And commencement is the beginning of your education, right, not the end. That should be the springboard. And persistence has so much to do with it. So before we get too lost in the comments, thank you for everybody. Clint, what's your new thoughts on persistence?
Well, I think, you know, as we're talking about it, there's probably one thing we would all agree on, at least I think so, and that is that some of the greatest experiences that we're going to have in life require a measure and period of time of persevering. You know, if everything came to us super easy, without any kind of opposition, without any kind of, you know, effort or struggle, it'd probably get pretty boring. You know, and of course, I love things to go easy every now and then, right? you don't always want everything to be this thing that you have to fight for. But I do think the really significant things in life, the most rewarding things of life, are going to require some perseverance. You know, I was thinking as we were fielding all of these lovely salutations and just some of the thoughts, I began to think about my marriage, because what a lot of people wouldn't know on this call is I met my bride a little over 20 years ago. We've been married for 20 years. But when we met, we started as friends. Now, I thought that she was going to be my wife very early on. I am a Christian, and I prayed about it, and I just thought that I knew that she was supposed to be my bride. Now, the reason why I'm bringing up perseverance is, first, she didn't see it that way initially. So I had to persevere through her doubt that I was going to be the right guy for her. But then our story got pretty complicated. You know, she ended up going on a vacation trip. We weren't dating. We were just friends. and she ended up having a fling with this guy, and it turned out she ended up being pregnant with this other gentleman's baby. And so by the time she came back, I'm going to have to give you guys this story in kind of shotgun format here. She was very petite, and so it went a couple of months before she knew for sure that she was pregnant. She didn't show. And during that time, we had begun to go into more of a dating relationship. And ultimately, what ended up happening was we were sitting in the car one day, and she dropped the bomb on me that it turns out that she was pregnant. And so she said, that's going to change everything I believe about our relationship. And I just didn't think that way, Don. But ultimately, what would end up happening is obviously she's pregnant. She's got the gentleman never ended up being a part of this. I'll just fast forward to that part. But she ended up going through all the normal things that any woman would go through with a pregnancy, but then the added confusion of what's the right move for this baby. Do I just stay single for a number of years? All this stuff, lots of confusion. Well, this went on for a year and a half of just this up and down. And she was talking to me about possibly having a relationship, and then she wouldn't even talk to me at all. And, it required tremendous perseverance to navigate that, because I really believed that we were to be together. And I really believed that, I was meant to be a father. And so I was okay with the fact that this wasn't my biological son. And I'll fast forward for everybody. Now we've been married 20 years because I already gave that up. But ultimately, we did end up making a decision that we felt like we were the right partners for one another. And when we got married, my son, Gabriel, who became my oldest son, was about 16 months. And so I became a dad, and we started our relationship. And now we've been married over 20 years. We've have 2 other sons as well. We've been through incredible ups, and we've been through some really difficult downs. One of those is Gabriel was a pilot, and he passed away in a plane crash a few years ago at about 17 years old, just shy of his 18th birthday. But I just look back and I think all of the things I never would have experienced in my marriage and being a father to Gabriel and my other sons, Joel and Liam, would have never happened without being perseverant. Who knows what I would have settled for? Who knows where life would have taken me? But the great rewards of life require pushing through some hard stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's so aligned with what we're the meaning of persistence is allowing time instead of feeling time is against you. Feel time is on your side, because it doesn't matter where you are in the race as long as the race continues to play and you keep running, right? Because it's where you end up. Or more importantly, enjoy every step of the race for being a step of the race. If you don't extend the time frame to what it's going to take, or use it, because it should be a recalculation every day. It just says, what progress did I make towards this goal? And if you're making progress, then it's just a matter of time. Quitters never win, winners never quit. And that's what perseverance is about. It's not the smartest, it's not the strongest, it's not the biggest. It's the people that go and dig in and just go forward one day after another day.
Yeah.
And you can't stop anybody who doesn't quit, because eventually you look after easier prey. If someone just keeps coming back and coming back, you just get tired of them. And I think you got to be the turtle against the hare in every race. And you got to understand that if it's going to be, it's going to be. But what you may find along the journey is a better road that you never knew existed.
Yeah.
Or a better direction, or you might go after that person and find that person. And you would have said, without persistence, I wouldn't have done this, and that. And the thing is win or lose, there's a
Oh. Hello. Is Don the only one, guys? Let me know. I wasn't sure if it was me or him that froze up. Am I still live with you guys? Okay, thanks, Cynthia. Well, I'm sure he's going to try his best to get back on, but to his point and what he was saying, I know from my story, and I'm sure it's true about your story too, is that sometimes it gets really hard too. There were times where I wanted to quit. There were definitely times where I felt like, gosh, is it worth the effort? Have you ever felt that way, where you feel like maybe I'm almost there, and then there's a setback. And then with that setback, you're thinking, well, maybe I'm never going to end up where I was hoping I would be. And so you want to fall short, or not want to, but you fall short and you almost quit. And that's almost, what happened to me. There actually came a point in time where, because I felt like my bride now didn't want to make a decision, that maybe it was just time to move on. And so I actually did decide to pursue a relationship with someone else, because my wife's name is Amaryllis, by the way. Amaryllis and I weren't even talking for a month or two. And so I decided to move on. And after about 2 weeks, what happened was I was sitting, and I just thought within myself, and I felt like God was speaking to me saying, "What are you doing?" and I knew the answer. The truth was, what I really desired, what I really wanted, was Amaryllis. And yet I was pursuing something else that maybe was just going to come a little bit easier. And so that day, without even knowing, whether or not we'd ever even talk again, I cut off that very brief relationship, and I just continued to persevere, to use the word of the day. And ultimately, as I said, it ended up working out to where we ended up talking things through and came to this conclusion that we were the right fit for one another. And my life has been, amazing ever since. A lot of ups and downs, of course, like everybody, but it's been amazing to be able to experience some of the things that we have as a married couple and as parents, that had I really quit, had I really pursued something else, doesn't mean my life would have been bad, but it would have been vastly different. And I'm so grateful. I'd love to hear it. There's got to be some of you out there that have had some really difficult challenge, or something that you faced, and you came that close to quitting, and yet you decided to take one more step. Maybe you made one more call, or maybe you decided to try one more time, and then things worked out. Okay, I'm seeing maybe I might be frozen, so maybe I'm talking to myself. Yep, I'm talking to myself, Baz, or yep, I'm frozen. Thanks, Kelly. Kelly, you chose a day not to come on. No, actually, you didn't choose not to come on. Your schedule and your traveling made it impossible, but you picked a day where things became really challenging. And so now we are living the word of the day right now. We are persevering through this. We're going to make a way. We're going to find a way to still add value to you guys. Okay, I see that. Looks like maybe I am okay. I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Cynthia, thank you. Dean, thank you. I'm getting text messages as well, so you guys can hear me. I'm looking for some comments here. I'm looking for someone who has something they want to ask or share about perseverance. Yeah, Paul. I love that. Paul is saying persisting is about pivoting. That is so true. You know, it's funny as we talk about perseverance, we also have to think about the definition of the word insanity, right? Because we all know the famous phrase for the definition of sanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again with the same result. That's not the perseverance we're talking about. Perseverance does include pivoting, like Paul said. Sometimes we do need to make an adjustment and try another route or try another way of getting where we need to go. And that is the form of perseverance that we're really looking for. Cynthia, you went through a similar situation with your husband chasing you. Yeah, there's a theme here so far. Husbands chasing their brides. He persevered for a year, was about to give up, decided to make you jealous, and he tricked you into the relationship. I tried that, Cynthia. It didn't work for me, but perseverance did eventually hold out. And so I'm glad that for me, that's how it went down. Kim had a question here. Do you agree that in order to stay on a divine plan, you have to persist regardless of the circumstances? Oh my gosh, Kim, 100%, maybe all the time, or at least most of the time. You know, I think when you start talking about divine plans, we often have our own timelines. We have our own dreams. We have our own goals. We certainly have our own ideas on how we would like things to work out. And my experience has taught me that rarely, if ever, is it according to my perfect agenda and my perfect plans. Usually there's a completely different route that God wants to take me through. But I can say this with certainty, that even though there's been so many times where things weren't working out according to my plan or working out in the speed of which I was hoping something would come to fruition, that when it did, and it usually involved, like I said, another way, a way that I couldn't see before, it's turned out to be even more amazing. And so, Kim, absolutely, perseverance is a key when you're walking out a divine plan, but the rewards are absolutely tremendous. Baz, what was your greatest challenge? Yeah, well, for me, that's really simple. The greatest challenge that I have personally faced, which is the same challenge that has faced our family, was losing my oldest son to a plane crash just shy of his 18th birthday. You know, as a family, we had to make a decision that we were going to persevere. And I'm not trying to be coy with that word, but we had to make a decision that we were going to choose to continue to live and not get caught up in the pain. And, you know, being the husband and the father, Baz, I obviously was the leader of that. And so we had some really challenging conversations in those early days. And we came up with some ways for us to help each other to continue to persist. Because the truth was, you know, when you lose someone, I know there's many of you on this call that can relate to what I'm talking about. When you lose someone in a tragic way, or even just before their time, maybe it's an illness that took a period of time, so it wasn't sudden, but yet you had a different expectation of how long you were going to have that relationship. It's going to require perseverance. You're going to have to keep fighting, because there's days that you don't feel like going on. There's days where you're going to be struggling to maybe even get out of bed, or, you know, go to work, or, you know, even continue to foster those relationships. And so, you know, Baz, for me, that has been the most challenging situation by far. But I think if you look at even what we're doing here and what Dawn has done such an amazing job of creating with this Hour of Empower, is by sharing our stories, by collaborating, by sharing ideas and strategies, and again, stories. I think stories are just so powerful that they can be a catalyst to help you to keep moving forward and to keep persevering through even the most difficult things. Petra, perseverance is everything. Yep, we're going to need it. We are always going to need to be perseverant and to persist. Dean, don't give up. The miracle is right around the corner. Yes, come on. I'm going to say that's a word for somebody listening here today. Dean, it's right around the corner. Don't quit. Don't give up. You were intended to see that comment, to hear that comment today. So don't stop, don't quit, just keep going. Ashif, Don, the Under Armour top you're wearing connects with the topic. Yeah, that totally did. I totally agree. Cynthia, Don may have lost his internet connection. His messaging icon show him only on his phone. Okay. Well, I'm sure he is doing everything within his power to get back on, and we'll just kind of keep this going. I want to go through the comments. So many great comments in here. Paul, gratitude has allowed me to hold steady to my goals and persistence. Wow, that right there, Paul. And I'm sure gratitude has probably been a word that Don has used already, but gratitude is a force. I really believe that. I think gratitude is not just these words that we speak, that we say, I'm grateful for this, or I'm grateful for that. I think gratitude has its own superpower, and that when we're grateful for things, it allows us to, exactly as Paul said, to hold steady, to appreciate the things in our life, the experiences that we had that are valuable and that are a great reward. And then by being grateful for those things allows us to continue to fight for and contend for those things that maybe aren't coming so easy, or maybe that we're not experiencing today, because not every day necessarily is a great day, right? Not every day do we feel like we're winning. Let's see. Petra, perseverance through a storm, it makes a person stronger. Absolutely. That's one of the beautiful things about perseverance. I think, again, kind of going back to something that I'd said earlier, when things go super easy, and those things are good too, right? I mean, I love it when certain things go easy and seamless and smooth. So it's not that we're saying we don't ever want to experience that. But Petra, that's exactly right. When storms come, perseverance is going to be a characteristic that you need to be able to get to the other side. So that's such a powerful statement. Baz, thank you for using your experience to go forward and support others. That's a huge thing to overcome. Yeah, thank you, Baz. I really feel like, I'm going to say this because this may help somebody too, because this has been part of my journey with perseverance, especially through losing my son. And that is one of the things that held me back early on in that first couple of years from sharing that out loud like I am today. And I wrote a book as well that I shared a part of this story, was that I didn't want my difficulty, my adversity, or in this case, trauma, to become my identity. And I'm just going to bounce off of what Baz says. Listen, whatever you've gone through that you've had to persevere through, that's not your identity, but it is a part of your story. And your story of perseverance and ultimately getting where you need to go, even if the road was different than you would imagine, is what's really going to help a lot of other people. So I want to encourage everybody on here today, share your story of perseverance. Maybe today you're going to have an opportunity to share a story of perseverance with someone, and it's really going to shift their mindset today. And that's going to be an amazing experience for them because you were willing to share your story of perseverance. Let's see, Kim, how does one community impact perseverance? Boy, Kim, there's probably so many different ways that can come into play. But I just think one of those is perseverance a lot of times requires encouragement. It requires other people giving us permission to keep going. And by permission, I don't mean, people need to be able to tell us we can keep going in order for us to do that. We don't need that kind of permission. But again, it's those stories, it's that community coming together and encouraging one another through shared experiences, through shared wisdom, that we get the permission within ourselves to say, hey, I can fight one more day. So I think that's one way, Kim. Kelly, agree. Perseverance is key through mourning and the grief process. Absolutely. Absolutely. Because that's exactly right. It's a process. It's not a destination. I like to say it's a journey. Really everything in life, guys, is a journey, right? And so we need to keep being perseverant day by day by day. And we need to incorporate some of these other things that we're talking about, like gratitude. Paul gave us a quote here, I think. Okay, he thinks of this quote: gratitude allows us to sustain optimism by Michael J. Fox. Wow. There's a quote and there is a story, right? Michael J. Fox may be the epitome of what we're talking about today in terms of perseverance with everything he has gone through with Parkinson's, and he continues to just share his gift. He continues to share his story. He continues to encourage other people. What an amazing human being. Petra, Daniel Patrick's murder was horrible. I may have missed a comment that led to that, so I'm not sure exactly what that means, but I'm sure you're absolutely right. And of course, any murder is just absolutely awful. So let's see what else. Oluwesea, I'm sorry if I'm not saying that right. Major share, Clint. That takes a lot for a man to share. I salute your courage. Thank you so much. That's very kind. Thank you for those statements. I thank you for all the kind words. Kim, fall 7 times and stand up 8. Boy, and that's a Japanese proverb. We could all use that, right? How many of you have fallen 7 times? Maybe 8 times, maybe 9 times, maybe 10 times. That's the whole point. Get up one more time. Get up one more time. Petra, perseverance held me up and still walking on the earth. That's right. That's exactly right. Kim saying, Christy Howard, welcome back. Yes, Christy, I'm so excited to connect with you again. I followed you on social media. What an amazing... Oh, sorry, guys. I got interrupted there. I apologize for that. Let me do something really quick here. My do not disturb turned off. I apologize for that. But Christy, boy, you were perseverant just to get home. Last I saw it was like a 45-hour journey. So I'm so glad you were persistent. You're back, and we're going to get a chance to hear about your amazing experience. Paul, there's a quote I love that is in the same context that inspired Brene Brown's book, Braving the Wilderness. Fate whispered to the warrior, I'm not sure if you can withstand the storm. Sorry, guys, my screen is jumping around. Fate whispered to the warrior, I'm not sure if you can withstand the storm. And the warrior whispered back, I am the storm. That's awesome. What if we all did that, right? What if we decided that when the storms of life came, instead of succumbing to the storm, we told the storm, you're not the storm, I'm the storm. I love that, Paul. That is really awesome. Petra, Einstein persevered in the face of a highly structured turn of the 20th century academic system that valued learning by rote and repetition. Yeah, Einstein's an amazing story of perseverance. Thank you for sharing that, Petra. Cynthia, my sister lost her 35-year-old son when he drove his motorcycle into a wall. Oh my gosh. She is persisting through grief, but it's so hard for her to keep persistence. I am so sorry for her loss and your loss, Cynthia. That is incredibly, incredibly hard. If there's anything I could ever do or anything I could help with, please connect with me through LinkedIn offline. I would love to be able to do that. I'm so sorry for that. Linda Coleman. Linda, this is the first thing I'm reading of yours. Linda said, I had to be persistent, not wanting to leave children orphans, finding ways to help build my body back and struggles it created, but not giving up and working to learn and find help for my days and others. Don't know if that's a typo, but I'm still going to keep reading here, but didn't get to make moments wanted when life took away choices, and feel for all of you having those struggles and perseverance to overcome and continue. Yes, Linda, it looks like autocorrect may have got you a little bit there, but thank you for sharing that. I'm sure your story is powerful, and I would continue to encourage you to share it as much as you possibly can. Kim, that was Don calling in to join the show again. Actually, I saw the who that was calling in, and it was not Don on that particular call, but I think that's super funny. Trust me, if I see him trying to call in, I am going to bring Don in. This is his show, and I'm just making it up as I go along. I'm trying to be perseverant today. Ashi, challenge the challenge. Yeah, that's another way to look at it. We're all going to face challenges, but what if we decided that the challenge was going to be challenged by us instead of the other way around? I love that so much. Paul. Thank you, Paul, for joining in so much. Clint, one of the things that inspired me to keep going through my walk, this is his 12-hour walk. If you missed that, is looking at all the trees and animal in nature. And I reminded myself they are already capped out in life, and I haven't even scratched the surface of my full potential. Love that, Paul. I would love to hear more about your 12-hour walk too. I wonder, was that inspired? I don't know if you follow Tim Ferriss. I've heard Tim Ferriss. He brought on a guy, I can't think of his name right now, but he talked about this 12-hour walk. Maybe you can share if that's where you got it, but that's super cool. Super cool. Aaron, if I said it incorrectly, forgive me. Keep going, legend. Yeah, well, something is happening here today, right? We know that something is happening. Thank you for all of the comments. Thank you for all the shared wisdom and the quotes. Keep them coming. I'm sure all of these are helping those who are on today. Again, this collaboration is so powerful. Here we go, Paul. Thank you for the answer. It was based off the New York Times bestselling book by Colin O'Brady. That's the guy. Yeah, I actually heard him sharing about this 12-hour walk. Boy, that book right there, I haven't read the book, but I've heard him speak on a lot of what's in the book. So as we're talking about perseverance today, wow, what an amazing example. Colin O'Brady, you need to Google him, go to Amazon and read his book on perseverance and about this 12-hour walk. I think it's super inspiring. Yes, exactly. He climbed Mount Everest actually multiple times, but he shares a particular story about one of his climbs that's going to blow you away. So thank you for that. Kim, special prayers for all those who are mourning and brokenhearted. Yeah, absolutely. You know, every time I share my story of, you know, just the grief and the loss of losing my son, I'm always very aware that there's so many other people out there who have also suffered loss. And if I could point out too, you know, there's never a hierarchy in pain, or at least there shouldn't be. So I just want you to know, you know, whatever your loss is, you know, so many people suffer different kinds of loss and suffer through different kinds of grief. Sometimes, you know, it's divorce after a very long marriage, or sometimes it's losing a business. Maybe you've worked your entire life to build, and through sometimes unforeseen circumstances that you couldn't have foreseen, you lost it all. And now you've got to keep going on. So you've got to work through the loss and the grief. Pain is a real thing, but I want you to know today, you know, there's so many people that love you. There's so many people that want to help you work through your pain and your grief. And there are things on the other side. There is hope on the other side. There is, you know, through a perseverant spirit, to keep our theme today, your ability to live a productive, meaningful, and impacting life no matter what you face. Hey!
Well, I finally made it back. I'm doing my phone
back
because my internet's down, but I was watching you and you're just doing tremendous. So it's great to be back. What's new, Clint?
Hey, I'm just trying to live out the word of the day. That's all I'm trying to do. We're getting some amazing feedback, some great quotes, some great stories, some great references to some different books. And Paul's mentioning there's actually a documentary called 14 Peaks. Nothing is impossible about this book that we were just mentioning. So people are sharing some amazing stuff. Don, you lost your hat. What happened?
Oh, yeah. See, I got so excited. But you know what it does show is persistence goes a long way. And especially if your internet goes down. So it teaches you not to get a little too frustrated. But yeah, I mean, I think this has just been great because we're living the word as well as talking about it.
That's right. That is exactly.
Got my hat back.
Things are as they should be now, which is what happens, right? we go through the struggle. We got to persevere, but eventually what's supposed to happen happens, and we get to reap the reward of that. So you're back, and I'm so excited.
Oh, me too. That's what they call about a comeback, is going away and still coming back to where you want to be. And sometimes you're in a better place because of a detour or a redirection. So, it's great having someone who, can bring so much perspective like you do, Clint. So what's your thoughts on the audience today?
Oh, I love it. I think it's been amazing to watch the comments today on a few different fronts. I love the way people are interacting with each other and jumping in immediately to help each other when, a question comes up or a need comes up. I think that is so incredibly powerful. And then I love the wisdom. I love the, the fact that so many people are really engaged with what we are talking about, and they're adding such valuable content to what we're talking about. And I think what's exciting about this, Don, and I know you feel the same way because we talked about this before the call, our faces are on the screen, right? And we're saying some stuff, but the most powerful takeaway for a lot of people today is not going to come from anything that came out of our mouth. It's going to come from something that somebody put in the comments. And it may be one little sentence in a quote, or it may be something a little bit deeper or directed directly to them in a private message. I think it's awesome.
Yeah. And the more you talk, the more I realize everybody has so much value and treasure within themselves. And sometimes they just need someone to add a little something to it to make it shine, or to allow them to make it shine for themselves. And you're right. The words we say should just ignite the thoughts and the feelings they end up coming away with, because when you can feel it in your bones, when it's heartfelt, it's so much more palatable and empowering, than if it's just wisdom, because there's so much knowledge that isn't well served or well directed and not applied. So yeah, I think you're absolutely right. The more we can just share how we feel, when we feel it, with the people who feel for us, and maybe the next word will be feeling when we get back on, is so cool, Clint. And I'm so happy to have you here today.
Yeah. Thank you, Don. I love what you just said. And I was going through some of the comments because I'm new to this. So I figured I probably missed something really good. And man, did I. Paul, I've said a couple of things that you commented on, but I want to read this one really quick because I think it illustrates a lot of what you and I were just talking about. Paul said here earlier, the greatest gift I ever received was a card. On his 18th birthday, he was going to commit suicide, and his aunt wrote him a card saying that since the day I was born, she knew I'd change the world, and now I get to turn that vision into a reality. I love that one, Paul, because, we don't know what everybody's going through today. We don't know when we start throwing around the word perseverance and we're telling some stories, we don't know what someone is really like knee deep in the midst of right now. And I would say that these quotes and the other comments that people are making today are a gift. That's why I love the way he said it. The greatest gift was a card. Maybe your quote today, maybe what you shared today is the greatest gift someone's going to receive to turn around and change their life forever, like it did for Paul's.
Yeah, I mean, and it does. So it's not really a matter if, it's a matter of when and how that happens. And the real benefit of daily coming together, sharing, is you don't have time to forget yesterday, and all of a sudden tomorrow's here. Second of all, no one always asked a question they should in the moment they should, because it just wasn't there. But if you had, how many times did you ever come home at night and say, if I just said that, or if I just thought a little bit more and came up with that, and if you say, well, I don't have to because I'm back tomorrow, right? If you only get an audience with one person once a year, it's all or nothing. But if you say, hey, I can even give today and not worry about getting because tomorrow, you never walk in a grocery store asking, will you be here tomorrow? You just expect it, right? And this is like a marketplace. But instead of trading goods, you're trading stories, experiences, and it's not so much the vehicle, it's the intent. I'm sharing a story so you'll maybe see what I saw, or maybe you'll do something. And I think the biggest help, and I think it took place today too, is you see people in trouble, or you see people searching for something they're not really getting as fast, and persistence has something to do with it. And people are saying, reach out to me. I might know somebody. What do you do? Curiosity matched with even more curiosity, right? I need something. Well, someone says, I know someone. Then someone says, what is it? And then all of a sudden you constructed something, and you know what's happening? People are finding doors that no one knows exist while they're crowding into doors where everybody is. So if we can open entry to self-discovery, and I think at that point, persistence is giving your judgment a break. Is not just saying I need more time, but I need less judgment during this time. We'll just let it work. We'll just let it grow and then see what it happens. And I think that's by sharing with people. And most people say, give yourself more time. You're a better person than you're giving yourself credit for. And so many people, and to Paul's point, love and care about you. And you are such an important part of their life that there's almost an obligation for them as much or more than for you. And that would give people a bigger picture, because I think whenever you're part of something bigger than yourself, you're smaller to yourself when you need to be, right? When there's someone screaming for help, you don't think about, boy, I didn't have ice cream flavor today that I ran out of.
So good. Oh,
Clint, I mean, this is therapeutic. Oh, now that's me lost it. This is so weird. So Clint, I guess we're going to have to wrap it up. What's your thoughts from this? Has been a incredible LinkedIn Live, because this has never happened to me, going on and off and all around. But it taught me one word that I'll use as redundancy in the future. So what's your final thoughts, Clint?
Well, my final thought, I just want to piggyback on what you just said, and in regards to especially the way this community is rallied around with one another, and that is the vulnerability required. I think when I look at some of the stories that were shared today with, and I can't name everybody, but Paul and Petra expressed through the chat some really, really powerful stories that required a high level of vulnerability because they're so sensitive. The willingness to do that is what often is the catalyst to massive change for others, for answers to really come to them, and to encourage them and to empower them. This is called the hour of empower, right? Your story, your willingness to be vulnerable often is the catalyst to empowering someone else to get through another day, to persevere, or to move through really challenging circumstances that we all face eventually.
Yeah, and the fear goes away when the expression comes out, right? So once you pop the cork, right, all the energy is going to flow out, and it gives you knowledge that everybody's okay with it. Once you know the coast is clear, then you can open up the road to say, okay, and here's all the stuff I need. I mean, if you go to a doctor, it's usually smart to tell them what you're dealing with, right? I mean, you can say I'm great, and they can say, well, go ahead, leave, and you're not great anymore still. But if you come somewhere and you just say, and life is a gamble, being vulnerable is a gamble, but like any gamble, the payoff goes way up when the risk is way up.
Yep.
And if you just say, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired of this, or hey, I just need an opinion. I don't need someone to change it. I just need someone to give me a fresh look with fresh eyes. And to your point, Clint, everybody wakes up with something to deal with. A lot of it's good.
Right.
A lot of it is imposed, and a lot of it is from out of the blue. And, it was kind of funny real quick. When I went down, my wife was like, I'm so happy you're not upset. You're not like really frustrated. I said, well, it's not my fault. I'm not the internet company. I mean, what can I do? And until I figured out, I got a laptop, didn't work. I figured the same internet, and I got the phone. So the thing is have fun, even when most people don't think you should be having fun. Right? And be kinder to yourself and people around you when most people don't think it's necessary.
Yeah.
Don't do what's just necessary. Do what's important. And, to your point, if one person smiles a little bit more, if one person shares a painful memory that now becomes less painful, if someone gets a job, someone gets some hope. And, the thing is, isn't it great even if you're an audience and half the people want a car? Maybe you weren't the half, but you're happy for everybody who did. And if you're back in the audience tomorrow, maybe you'll get the car. And with persistence, everybody will get what they deserve. So many people are looking for what they need and want. I always believe time will promote you or expose you. If you keep doing the right thing will happen to you. And that's all one can ask for. So, Clint, this was had its swerves and interactions. And I can't thank you enough, because I actually thought for a second when I went down, the show went down, and that was
I wasn't sure.
well, and when I finally saw you, I said, wow, that's the replay. But then I said, oh no, that's live. So anyways, thank you so much. You'll always go down in my book as the person that saved LinkedIn Live Hour and Power. And we'll definitely talk about having you back soon. So I think you're just a gift to the audience and hopefully to the world itself in time. So want to thank everybody for being here. Come back tomorrow. Christy's back. You haven't seen her for about 3 weeks. She should be fresh and ready to go. Dean's going to be here for the first time, and we'll hear more potato story about Dean. And with that, have a lovely day and make something happen for yourself and someone else. Thank you so much. And bye for now. Let me see. I've never shut this down.
Bye, everybody.
Okay, here we go. End stream.